Jai Hind everyone. My name is Dharmir Singh Badoria. First of all, I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. Today we will discuss chapter 4 of Political Science, class 9th, and the title of chapter is Working of Institution. Okay, so in this chapter, we'll discuss about the working of institutions within a democratic country. We will try to understand how the major decisions are taken and implemented. We will also talk about if we find any kind of disputes arise in the functioning of the government or the institution, or by the functioning of any institution, how we will remove that kind of or control that kind of dispute. Who will take the responsibility? Who will you can say that play the major role in resolving that kind of dispute? We'll also discuss about the key role of three different institutions at different levels. I mean to say the role played by legislative, the role played by executive, and the role played by the judiciary system. Okay. So in the starting of this chapter, first we'll talk about the political institutions, about the need of the political institutions. Okay. So dear students, you have seen that lots of development works are going in our surrounding, in our country, in our society. So these all kinds of works, these all kinds of changes taken place by the involvement or by the effective work of of our political institutions. Okay, so there are many activities. If we talk about different activities, I mean to say that ensuring security of the citizens, providing facilities of education and health, collection of taxes and spending of defense, administration and development programs, formulation and implementation of several welfare schemes. Okay, so I mean to say these are some of the examples that what that these are different kinds of that works or the functions taken place in our country. But these functions or these works taken place by the involvement of some group of peoples. Okay, by the effective work of some groups, some institutions, some the peoples who are elected by the peoples, they are working in these institutions effectively behalf of the peoples. Okay, so these I mean to say that these all the tasks, several arrangements known as institutions are made in our democratic countries, that is having they are having the responsibility regarding about how to make effective policies, how to make effective you can say that strategies that can help to implement these policies effectively, systematically, properly. Okay, so these group of peoples or these group of you can say that these groups who are having or taken this responsibility regarding about to make the policies, to execute the policies, as well as to resolve the disputes arise while these policies are implemented. So all these different groups are called as the institutions in our country. Okay, so among these three different institutions, as you can see on your screen, that in India are the three important political institutions that I told you: legislature, executive, judiciary. Executive can be divided into two parts: political and permanent executive. So first we'll talk about the parliament and the legislature. Among the three different institutions, first we'll talk about the parliament and legislature. So parliament in all the democracy as well as in India, an assembly of elected representative exercises supreme political authority on behalf of the people. Okay, so in India, such as or you can say that group of the people is called as you can say that National Assembly, or we can say it as our parliament. Okay, so these are the group of peoples who are elected by the peoples, and they are working behalf of the people, they are working for the people, they are working you can say as per the choice and for the welfare of the people. It means I mean to say that now they are having the responsibility regarding about that they need to make the policies which is essential for bringing development for in bringing development in the society as well as for the welfare of the peoples. Okay, so legislature is the body of elected representative at the state level. It is called as legislature or legislative assembly. At the national level, it is called as National Assembly, while at the state level, it is called as the State Assembly or Legislative Assembly. Okay, and I mean to say that these are the names that can be vary in different countries, but such an assembly exists in every democracy. In each and every democracy, we can see that this kind of groups which are working behalf of the peoples, for the peoples, okay, as per the choice of the peoples, for you can say welfare and development of the peoples, for the society. So what are the significance of parliament in a democracy? Now we'll talk about some of the significance of parliament in our country, in each and every democratic country as well as in our country also. The parliament exercises political authority on behalf of the people in many ways. The first one is parliament is the final authority of making law in any country. It can also change existing law or abolish existing laws and make new ones in their place. I mean to say uh, that this is the responsibility of the parliament, that parliament is making laws, making new laws. Okay, that if they found that any kind of new law is required for the welfare and for the development in our country, they used to make that law. But how they are making law, this process is very lengthy process. Okay, they are having a kind of a discussion in between the peoples who are elected by the peoples. Okay, and after a long discussion about the merits and demerits, finally at last they will take the final decision whether we have to go for making that policies or not. Okay, and as well as they are also making some kinds of amendments in the previous laws also, previous policies also, if it is required. If they found that any kind of changes are required in the previous laws or policies, they will go for that kind of change also, but for the welfare of the people and society. Parliament exercises control over those who run the government. No decisions can be taken without the support of the parliament. Parliament also looking after about regarding about to make a kind of a control over the peoples who are the part of government, who are, you can say that, no, running the government, who are the part of the government. So they are under, they are working under the parliament. Parliament has a kind of a control on these peoples. No decisions cannot, no decision can be taken without the support of the parliament. If any kind of new policy is required to make, or any kind of amendment is required to make in the previous policies, that can only be possible by the interference of parliament. Okay, by the approval of the parliament. Parliament also controls the money matters. All kinds of money matters are in the control of parliament also. Parliament is the highest forum of discussion and debate on public issues and national policies in any country. It can seek information about any matter. It is the highest forum where we will discuss about to frame the policies, to make the policies, to amend the policies, about to take the final decision about regarding about any kind of policies. Okay, so this is the highest forum of discussion, that there is a discussion in that you can say that made in between the group of the people who are elected directly and indirectly by the people, and at later whatever the decisions, whether they will go for that kind of policy or not, it the final decision is taken after the long discussion. So it is the highest forum of discussion where the people's elected peoples discussed about the policies, discussed about the merits and demerits of the policies. Okay, now we'll talk about different houses of parliament. Parliament has basically two houses, Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. And one more part of the parliament is the president. So we'll talk about president later. First we'll talk about Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. These are the two houses. Parliament plays a central role in democracies. The large countries divide the role of powers of the parliament into two parts. These are called as the houses or the chambers. Okay? That Lok Sabha or the Raj Sabha. Upper house, lower house. Okay? That we will talk about. One house is usually elected by the people and exercise the real power. The second house elected indirectly and performed some special functions. They were looking the interest of various state regions and federal units. So the first we'll talk about the first one. The peoples who are elected directly by the peoples, they are the member of Lok Sabha. and this is also called as the House of the People. While if you talk about the second house, they are elected indirectly and perform some special functions. They were looking the interest of the various states, regions, and federal units. This is called as the Rajya Sabha, or we can say that the Council of States. Okay, and the president, as I told you, president of India is the part of parliament, but he or she is not the part of any house. He or she is having the responsibility regarding to look after the functioning of both the houses, Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Okay, now we'll talk about that power of president as well as the power of prime minister, or the functioning of president as well as the functioning of prime minister. First we'll talk about the functioning of you can say that our president, or we can say that a power of president. Okay, then we'll move to the this one. Yes, here appointments. This is appointment made by the president. That first we'll talk about the powers of the president. All the government activities taken place in the name of president. All the bills passed by the parliament becomes law only after the president's assent. When president approves those bills, they will or those you can say that bills or law that now the proposals, it will become bill, or it will become it will take the final shape, or it will take the final approval of by the president, by the president's approval or president's assent. So that he or she is the supreme commander of the defense forces of India. All the international treaties and the agreements are made in his or her name. All the major appointments are made in his or her name. As you can see the slide which is given on your screen, also appointments made by the president. If we talk about the appointments which made by the president, he or she appoints the Chief Justice of India, the judges of the Supreme Court and the high courts of the states. They are appointed by the president. He or she appoints the Prime Minister of India and other ministers of on the advice of Prime Minister, means the Council of Ministers. He appoints the governors of the states also. He appoints the election commissioner and ambassadors to the countries. If we talk about the appointment of the Prime Minister, I mean to say that Prime Minister is the person who is the leader of the group or the party who got the maximum win on the seats in our country. Okay, so he or she is that you can say the leader of that group. So he or she, the leader of the party with the maximum seats, becomes the prime minister of our country. Okay, but he or she is appointed by the president, but he or she is the leader of the party with the maximum win. Okay, or maximum support by the people, or maximum win among the country in different you can say that constituencies. Okay, so this is some functioning, or you can say that some functions performed by the president. Okay, now we'll move to prime minister. Prime minister is the head of government. President is the head of country, but prime minister is the head of government. Prime minister is having the whole sole responsibility regarding about that most of the works taken place by, you can say, by the involvement or after the involvement of prime minister. The prime minister is the most important political institutions in our country. The president appoints the prime minister. The prime minister does not have a fixed tenure. He continues in power so long as remain the leader of the majority party or the coalition of party. He or she chairs the cabinet meeting. This is the functioning. If you talk about the functioning of prime minister, he or she chairs the cabinet meetings. He or she coordinates the working of different departments. His or her decisions are final in case disagreement arise between different departments, or any of the department. He or she exercises general supervision of different ministries. All the ministers work under his or her leadership. So these are the functioning of the prime minister. That prime minister is playing the key role in running, or in you can say that executing the policies in our country, in executing the policies properly, systematically. Okay, so this is the responsibility of the prime minister regarding about how to execute the policies Okay, he or she is making the strategy regarding about how to execute the policies in our country. Okay, this is you can say that the working of or the functioning of the prime minister, that prime minister is taking or you can say having the whole soul power regarding about how to you can say that how the policies is used to work in our country. Okay, now we'll talk about that a different institution. It is judiciary. Okay, here first of all you must know about the meaning of judiciary. All the courts at different levels in the country are collectively called as judiciary. I mean to say, judiciary is it's a kind of or it's a kind of institution which is having the responsibility or which is having or having the power to work independently or to take any kind of decision as per its own criteria without the interference or without the influence or without the interference of any other institution. That this particular institution judiciary can take his or her decision independently. Okay, you know, whatever the decisions judiciary want to take, it can take any decision independently without the interference of any of the institution. If we talk about the Indian judicial system, it consists Supreme Court at the national level, high courts at the state level, district courts at the district level, and some courts at grassroots level also. These are called local courts. Okay, so the judiciary in India is also the we can say that it is the most powerful you can say institution. If we talk about the entire world, the judiciary system in our country, in India, it is working much effectively in much better way or in you can say that na, in a kind of institution which is working more effectively compared to other institutions. If we compare our judicial system to other judicial system of the world also, our judicial system is working more effectively, more independently without the interference of any other institution. Okay, now we'll talk about the power of judiciary. The judiciary in our country or in India is one of the most powerful judiciary in the world. India has an integrated judiciary system. It means that Supreme Court controls the judicial administration in the country. If we talk, as I told you already, that in our country, the judicial system is working independently without the interference of any institution, without the interference of any powerful peoples, means the peoples with money or manpowers. They cannot interfere in the working of the judicial system. Okay, no political leader or no political institution can interfere in the working or functioning of the judicial system in our country. So now we'll talk about some specific work taken, you can say that taken by the judicial system. It is first we'll talk about that it settles the disputes among uh, different citizens as well as citizen and government as well as two or more states and the government between government at union and state level. So I mean to say that it is the responsibility of that our judicial system, as we have discussed in the starting of the session also, that this is the responsibility of our judicial system, that it used to resolve all the disputes. The disputes may be in between the peoples, the citizens, maybe between citizen and government, maybe between two or more states, maybe government at different levels at union or state level. Okay, now the second one is free from legislature and executives. The judge do not act on the direction of the government or according to the wishes of the party in power. As I told you, that the judges or the members of the judicial system, they are working independently. They are not working under the command of any particular institution. That is why all the modern democracies have courts that are independent of the legislature and executives. Okay, they are not, means in that a legislature and executive, they cannot control on the judicial system. Okay, interpret of constitution of the country. The Supreme Court and the High Court have the power to interpret the constitution of the country. They are having power to interpret the constitution, okay, in our country. If we talk about the judicial review, it means that that if a judicial system or the judiciary find any kind of law or any kind of previous policy is required to change, they can make any that kind of change also. If the judicial system found any kind of you can say that law or an order of the executive disobey the provisions of the constitution, it declares that kind of law or order null and void. Okay, so this is something about the functioning of our judicial system. Okay, so dear friends, this is all about the chapter about all about we can that the different institutions, about the functioning of the institutions, about the importance of the institutions, okay, about how these institutions are playing a key role in a democratic country, in protecting the democracy, in protecting the rights of the peoples, okay, in you can say that in you can say that in giving a kind of a proper growth to education sector, proper growth to the human development sector, proper growth to science and technology, proper growth to you can say that to the society, to each sector of the society, without you can say that exploiting the right of any particular or any particular person or any particular group or any you can say that community. So by giving equality, by protecting equality among the society, among the different peoples, among different groups, so these different institutions, legislature, executive and judiciary, are playing a very important role, as we have discussed in this chapter. So this is all about that about our you can say the working and the functioning of the institutions. So I hope you have enjoyed this chapter, and I hope you have learned something about different institutions and the functioning of the different institutions. Okay, so this is all about the chapter. Thank you very much for watching this video. That's all for this whole chapter. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Thank you very much.